Hola, amiguis. Welcome to Listen, Mija, the podcast where three Latinas at different stages of life share real stories, real laughs, and a whole lot of cultura. Whether you're here for chisme, sabiduría, or just a good chat, you've got a seat at our table. Let's get into it. I'm Jenny V.
I'm Stella.
I'm Jen.
All right, y'all. So this is the one that we've been pushing off for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna escape and hide. Don't mind me. I'll go under the table.
I feel though, like with grief too, it's very like current.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of my stuff I feel is like it's older because I think about like you guys, you lost parents not too long ago.
Right.
I haven't lost a parent, so I get it. That's hard.
It's a journey for sure. So grief in general looks like a lot of different things. It doesn't just look like loss of a loved one, even though that can be traumatic.
Yeah.
But grief can hit us so differently, and it
Yeah.
also transmutes itself very differently as Latinas in the modern world. Having seen our parents go through grief or not, and trying to figure out what life is going to be like post-grief, if we're ever going to get out of grief. But as Latinas, you're probably not expected to dwell on grief for too long.
Yeah. I think it's also really personal too. Like the way we each grieve is so different.
Absolutely.
And healing, like that whole journey too, it's like we each heal and we each grieve in our own like unique ways. We each have a perspective on that. I think that's really important to look at too, that maybe what works for you may not work for someone else,
Right.
but maybe at least if you can get some input and insight to how people grieve and how they manage it, then that will help you kind of figure out what works best for you if you have difficulties like managing or coping when it comes to grief.
And at the same time, I feel like as authentic as it can be, is probably the best way for you to grieve. Whatever feels the most authentic, not necessarily hiding behind what might have just occurred, just happened. But, usually, I mean, what's the saying? That usually your first response is the most honest one. And instead, we probably try and put on different masks to try and grieve differently, or to grieve in a way that is acceptable to other people, which also isn't fair to us.
Yeah, and especially for the oldest Latina in families, right? Like I think we all are here. We have to be strong. We have younger siblings. Like with my dad passed in December. I couldn't cry in front of people. I had to be strong, and I still hold that every day. Like I have to be strong. I grieve when I'm alone. And I honestly think I'm in the denial stage still anyway. I'm like delusional for sure and denial. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to see him this weekend. This weekend happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to see him next weekend. I have that in my mindset. But as the oldest Latina, again, we're the ones next in line after mama, right? We have to be the strong ones. Like my sisters were breaking down. I had to be the strong one. I had to be the one to help with the funeral arrangements. I had to be the one to be there for everyone. I couldn't grieve. I'm not allowing myself to grieve. But I think that's, again, a cultural thing. And it's also an oldest sibling thing.
Yeah. So this episode, we're going to explore the many faces of grief through the lens of Latinx and Latina millennial experience. From mourning loved ones to grieving lost versions of ourselves, we're going to open up a bit more about how our cultural identity, our family dynamics, and even those generational expectations shape the way we process pain and loss. Whether you're navigating fresh grief or carrying ancestral trauma and sorrow, this episode is meant to hold space for you. But before we even jump into kind of deep diving into our own personal experiences, Jenny made a really good point that it's important to kind of highlight and comment what's going on in the world right now. We are recording in June of 2025, and there's a lot of upheaval in terms of protests and the ICE raids and, just things in general when it comes to our government here in the US. So we thought it'd be kind of important to kind of touch on cultural events, and that kind of leads into processing the grief that relates to that for each of us as well.
Yeah. And basically a targeted group just being targeted by a government, like just being prosecuted. like criminals. It's ridiculous. Sorry, guys. Had to put my own spin in there.
So I think when we're looking at this, I think we're, especially with the current event stuff, Jenny, that we're looking at grief beyond our personal experiences.
Yeah.
We're looking at it from like a collective place, because it almost feels like the world's on fire right now, and it's scary and it's frustrating. I just had therapy today.
Right.
I was talking to Linda.
Oh,
Hi,
Honestly, thank
Linda.
God for that.
And we were talking about like how hard it is to like look at the world from our perspective currently as minorities. And I think it's important that it's not just right now. Yes, it feels like Mexican and Hispanic and Latinx minorities are the focus, but collectively we are all impacted, whether you're a Black American, person of color, Asian, Hispanic, what have you. We're all going through this collective upheaval. And I think that grief isn't just about losing loved ones. It's about watching what's going on in the world and seeing how that impacts our families, our communities, and the historical relevance to everything that's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And you got to remember when situations like things like this happen, it happens with one group of people. And if people don't stand up and stop it, it's going to continue. It's really going to continue. I hate to say this, but being a lover of history, think about what happened during World War II. Remember, they targeted different groups of people in the middle of the night. They were disappearing. They were getting, put into what they called them back then, ghettos, into these areas where they were starving them. And then before they shipped them off to concentration camps, they started with a small group of people. They saw they can get away with it and moved on to bigger and bigger. And that's what led to this terrorizing of a large group of people. We are seeing a trend right now of this happening.
Mhm.
Kids are getting taken out of school, getting deported. Parents are getting deported. But the good thing about now is social media. This is being live cast.
Right.
Everyone's knowing about it in real time. But there's still a lot of trauma, and any history lovers can see it's repeating itself. So what we have to do is stand up and stop this.
Yeah, I think that's what's frustrating, is that especially for those of us who are very privy and intelligent, and I don't know about you guys, but like as much as maybe my family, my abuela came to America from Puerto Rico, or people on from my dad's side came from Mexico, there is history that they were impacted by, but they understood the history here too, right? And they shared that information. And the fact that like I feel like people aren't learning from that history, it's frustrating. Like it makes me so angry that we saw these bad things happen like during the Holocaust, or when other nations were, colonized, or all these other historical upheaval moments. And it feels like we're not learning, right? There's trauma in that. There's trauma in the raids that we're seeing on television, the deportations, the anti-immigrant policies that are being pushed, the narratives that are being created as well that kind of are trying to split minorities apart. And I think I had sent you guys like a thing I saw about that. And I was like, no, like that's what they want.
Yeah.
All minorities have to come together to create change. And it's not just one targeted, group. It's all of us right now. You see it even too back then during World War II. It wasn't just the Jewish communities. It was the LGBTQ trans communities.
And that's what they don't realize. They targeted them first. They
Yeah,
targeted
disabled
disabled
people.
first.
Yeah.
They saw they can get away with it because no one was standing up for them. And then they went for the bigger group, the Jewish community. And then from there, they moved on to even bigger communities altogether. Like people don't realize it wasn't just the Jewish people.
Right.
It was other groups.
Asian groups too.
A
And
lot.
that happened here too.
Yes.
There was also like the Japanese concentration camps, and then the deportation of a lot of Hispanic Americans too, where it happened like while children were in school, so they came home to like no families.
Yeah, they and forgive the language, and it was Operation Wetback, and that was a huge piece of our history, and it's so frustrating that it's like it's the same playbook over and over again, instead of changing and trying to work together. And there's division being created so that we fight with other minorities over the crumbs that the large rich billionaires are throwing us, and it's so messed up. And that's really what it is. It's like there's this saying in socialism, it's there's no war but class war, and that's essentially what it is, because minorities, working class people, poor classes, there's more of us than there is the controlling group within our government. And the fear is that if we can all work together, we can disrupt and change. And I feel like, though, we tend to, like, forget that, and it makes me so frustrated, and I don't like seeing history repeat itself, but that's exactly what it feels like, and it's fucking scary and frustrating and sad.
Therein lies all the grief, though, because we're watching a genocide happen in front of our eyes as well. Like, we're
Yeah.
watching a whole genocide being live streamed. So there was already like a helplessness
Yeah.
from across the world to see how nobody was helping,
Yeah.
to see how the land that you are currently in refused to kind of do anything to help.
Yeah.
And you just watch these videos and these photographs that I can no longer unsee. That that could have been me or my children, right? Like how do I or you see these videos of wailing mothers and fathers and brothers. Like you see all the anguish and you're like nobody's doing anything. How can I expect anybody to do anything for me?
Yeah, whether it's Palestine or Sudan, like there's the Congo, there's shared struggles, whether it's African Americans in the United States, Hispanics in the US, there's this global fight for liberation, and the reality is no one is free unless all of us are free. And the fact that we're continuing to see that stuff, it just kind of highlights the like historical echoes of displacement, colonization, systemic violence that we're seeing live cast on TV. It mimics what our ancestors have experienced. And that's why I think it's so important that we understand that there is shared struggle. There's connection between all of us because of those struggles. Whether it's, US intervention, militarization, forced migration, all of our grief is different, our histories are slightly different, but it's all
Yeah.
connected.
I think the frustrating part is that these are all indigenous people. These are all people native to the land, including a lot of Hispanics here in this country. Like this land does not belong to the people that are trying to push us out. I think that's the other part that where that helplessness and that grief comes in, right? Like I mentioned, we're watching so many other countries, suffer. You wonder if anybody's going to come to save us. Which is essentially, no, we're going to be here to have to save ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think it's also important to note that sometimes it really is important for us to kind of take a break where we can, because it's intentional to break us down this way. It's very intentional to try and make us feel helpless and shattered by what we're seeing. So, it's almost like a grieve. Go ahead and grieve,
Of grief.
right?
Mhm.
Be sad, but let your rage fill you so that you can take the next steps that you have to take in order to channel it, like, right, channel it so that way we can all be liberated. Like you mentioned, none of us are free until all of us are free.
And that's one of the things we have an advantage over our ancestors.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen. We've read about it. It's in history. It's repeated itself. It's repeating itself right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Let's use that grief as our power and do something so that our kids don't have to face this. Our grandkids don't have to face this. Let's stop this.
Yeah. And that channeling can be all kinds of things. Maybe you're not capable of protesting, but there are protests going on nationwide for like the No Kings protest parade, like protesting Trump's parade. There's a lot of organizing happening locally. There's people who do work on social media, whether it's sharing, especially if you're, part of a disabled community or a community at risk. You can use your art and your voice and use it online to share information and to help, dispel misinformation. So there's all kinds of ways that you can channel that grief into something productive. But I agree with you, Jenny, too, is just like taking a moment that you have to breathe too. You have to take a moment. And yes, that's a privilege to be able to take a break from social media. But it's still important too, because you can't fill from an empty cup, right? So you have to like take some time for yourself, and then you get back to whatever it is that you're trying to channel your grief or your frustration or your rage into, because that rage is sacred and it's valid. It's valid.
100%. We
Yeah, and it's
honestly,
absolutely
this is repeating itself over and over again, guys.
Right.
Think about it. Look at everything. Look at what's going on now. It
Mhm.
happened years ago in our lifetime. It's happened in our parents' lifetime. We're grieving that we did have some time of stability, right? When we didn't have to fear going outside. We didn't have to fear that our family members were going to be put in cages or deported.
Right.
We're right now grieving that small years period of peace. But now we're facing reality again,
Right.
that it's coming back in full swing and we have to do something to stop it. I agree. We need to grieve a little bit, take time to ourselves, but we can help. We can do fundraisers, donate money to lawyers to help these kids. There's kids that are being taken to court. They don't speak the language, they speak Spanish. They're by themselves. They don't have legal representation. How is this fair? This is America, right? I thought we were the land of the free, like home of the mix. I mean, seriously, they came here, they took the land. I'm sorry, California, Arizona, Texas was Mexico. So now you're kicking out people who's lived there for generations.
Right.
Honestly, bite my ass. This is wrong. This is their homeland. Half of these people haven't even lived in Mexico. They're just Mexican by blood, but California was Mexico. Texas was they was all Mexico, and you're kicking them out of their land.
Or they're sending them to another place like El Salvador,
Oh,
where they're
what
not
the-
even from.
No.
So it's
Right.
they don't it's and that's the reality, is that it's unfortunate that they don't care. It's just, and that's the idea behind othering people, right? You're giving that's what white supremacy kind of is built on. Let's other these people. We blame them for all the problems that the elite are actually causing so that they can
Yeah,
fight
fuck
amongst
them,
each
right?
other, and we can continue to take their taxes and misappropriate them and fund other wars and make billions of dollars and then screw over the little people, which is really fucked up. Yeah. But I think that there's also, like, along with that heartbreak, there's hope in resistance, and the fact that people are protesting, organizing, that they're
More educated now.
yes, they're resisting, and that offers healing. And I think that's why it's been such a huge uproar of what's going on in like Los Angeles that kicked it off, and then how every other major city started like coordinating in solidarity with them. But it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and it's exhausting to just fight for like basic dignity. But I think the reality is that our communities are super strong, and people will not go quietly into the night. They will fight. And that's what I like. I think that's what moved me so much when I was watching some of the protests in LA. There were banners that were saying like, we're not going anywhere. This is where we are. This is where we're from. You can't. We
No.
can't. We're not going anywhere.
And who does this country really belong to? Think about it. Really?
Right. 100%.
This country is mix of people. That's what made us strong. And that's what we're forgetting. Every culture, a blend, made America. And now we are what? Eliminating different groups like dumbasses? Seriously, that's what made us strong. And we are fighting within ourselves instead of like really looking around the world. Things are happening. We could be helping out other nations instead of inciting fights within ourselves.
Right.
Whether it's, poor white people and African Americans and Hispanics and Latinos and working class people, like, we are the backbone of this country.
Yes.
And
And
Black
it's
Americans too.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that's kind of been revealed as we go through this upheaval is that there are also Black Hispanics.
Yes.
You know, there's Haitians that are going through deportation
Yes.
struggles.
100%.
You know, Dominicans, you know, Cubans, like Afro Latinos. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we are all one in the end. People don't realize that we are all one. It doesn't matter what color, where we're from. We're people. In the end of this, we want to survive. We want to have a family. We want to live without fear.
I would even go further and say I don't want to just survive. I want to be.
You want to live.
I want to live.
You want to live. And right now we're not living. We are hiding. We're surviving. But like you said, Jen, we have more knowledge now. We have the past. We have the voices now. Now we just don't give a shit and we're going to stand up for what's right. We didn't have that privilege in the past. Now we do. And we have to, as a gift to our ancestors who brought us all here. Remember, generations made us.
Absolutely.
We have to go move forward. Use this grief as ammunition to fight for those who that don't have voices.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I also think too, there's a bit of spiritual grief. Like we're talking about ancestral trauma too. When you see those things, and it's like, I don't know, it feels like when I watch the news, and even maybe it's not me out there and it's not my family directly impacted right now, but I get this like pain in like the pit of my stomach. And I'm like, why does that hurt so much? And I realized, yeah, it's my ancestral trauma and it's that spiritual grief that we all collectively hold because of these negative experiences that we have had in the past. And we hold on to that. And it's not just like grieving for one person or for my direct family, it's literally grieving for humanity.
I'll say too that to a degree, social media doesn't help in, you know, energizing us to want to collectively work together. I mean, granted, and you were mentioning this earlier, Jen, like there's comments that are so negative and super harsh, right? And it's almost impossible to tune it out. Like you want to fight in the comments.
I will fight them.
Yeah,
Bring
but
it
you're
on.
probably fighting with a bot. You know what I mean?
I know,
That's
that's
the other
hilarious.
thing. Like you're probably fighting with someone who isn't even fucking real.
Show me your face.
And but also you know, these are also keyboard warriors who would never say this to anybody that they love.
It's meant to sow discourse because they do that in physical form too. When they put in protesters who aren't really protesting for the right thing, they're there to literally sow discourse.
Cause damage, yeah. So, you know, and this is where protecting your peace kind of comes into play. Like a lot of us get our news from social media, but I think it's really important to kind of tune out the comments because again, they're probably not even real people.
Yeah.
And it's also the fact that and maybe this is me being a little optimistic, which is rare in such a time like this. I'm mostly pessimistic. I refuse to believe that people are this cruel.
Yeah.
Because I know I got to a point where I was just like, people really don't like us this much, like at all. I don't understand. Like, how is it that people don't like us?
Why do
like
they hate
me,
us?
like my family.
Yeah, I've seen so many, like, you know, on social media where they like our food, they like our music, they love our land, but they don't. Why?
But they don't love us.
They hate us. Why do they hate us? And this is my answer to that. They don't hate us. They're jealous of us. They're jealous. They want that. And that's why they hold a grudge against us. But I don't think it's really hate. I think it's the fear, like them not really knowing any better.
But I think it's also the fact that we know how to experience joy at a much different level than they do. And that's probably where the envy also comes in. The fact that our joy through the hardship that we have all been through collectively, ancestrally, spiritually, you know, we still find ways to thrive and find joy.
Exactly. Look at our land. Like we've been taken over by how many colonizers, how many groups, and we're still smiling because you know what? In the end, we won because we're always going to rise up and move forward.
Yeah.
And this is just another obstacle.
I also think too, like to your point, Jenny, about like the internet bringing the worst out in people. I watched this like online newscast with this woman named Leja Miller, and she is really great on sharing like progressive information and really neutral like informative, not neutral. She's very left leaning, but it's still yes, it's very left leaning, but it's very informational. And I had commented something about, because one of the big things that I'm noticing online is people arguing about the optics of the Mexican flag being at all of these protests. Like, why aren't you bringing the American flag? So I didn't agree with her. I was like, what optics are we, like, who are we trying to placate, right? But um some guy like commented like, oh, you're naive about like what my comment was, and that I'm trying to like placate her as a white person because I want proximity to her whiteness. And I was like, you don't even know me. And the reason why he said that was because I was being courteous in my comment. I was like, I appreciate like what you say, but I completely disagree with you. And this is why there's history behind our flags. And I shared information about why carrying the Mexican flag was so integral to what's going on with the protest. And even highlighted how in Puerto Rico, our flag was illegal for the longest time. So there's history and there's reasons for why. Yes, I may be, Mexican, Puerto Rican American, and I have both, but being able to fly that is also highlighting the importance to our culture. But what I told him was, it wasn't because I was trying to placate or whatever he said. I was literally because I believe that my kindness in of itself is also protest. I actually believe that being kind is a necessary act of protest. Why? Because it directly counters the dehumanization, fear, and violence that oppressive systems are trying to enforce. I can be angry and hate the world and the communities that other me, or I can get right with my heart and work to try and change it, even in small ways, right? So, this idea that hate thrives when it's reciprocated or left unchecked. And I feel like we see enough of that in this fucking world right now. I don't want to add to that. But I'm not passive to those oppressive forces, right? If people who know me, they know how active I am in community organizing. But instead of like focusing on the people who are so against me, right? I want to focus on working with other minority communities, working within my minority community, working with other people who are allies, whether they be white, black, Asian, whatever. Um and put my energy into forging networks of things like mutual aid, safety, and hope in those environments rather than just being fucking angry about it. And you're allowed to be angry though. Our rage is valid. It's sacred. But I feel like that kindness and me trying to be respectful within a comment um is more of just who I am in my heart. I don't want to be a fucking asshole to the world because there's enough people being assholes to me in the world. And I think that kindness is it can be such a rarity, and that's what throws people off. And I was so like surprised, like I'm just being a nice person and you're sitting there saying that I'm like like, oh, I support these nasty things, like, oh, like the assumption was that I was like one of those Hispanics that like thinks that they're white. And I was like, why? Because I use big words and I'm smart, like, you know what I mean? But then I realized I was like, it's that kind of insight that creates that divisiveness that is so prevalent online and within like and creates that infighting within communities of color, which is so like not helpful.
I'm the person that always plays both sides, right? So this is kind of where I feel like both are valid.
Yeah.
Both people in this fight are important.
Yeah.
The angry person
Yes.
and the kind person. And I think it really just depends on the circumstance. Like the kind person comes in to the person to the oppressor that is teachable,
Yeah.
that is willing to learn. It sounds rare, but I know that it exists. Again, this is me trying to refuse to believe that people are always this cruel.
Yeah.
But the again, like I know being an asshole is not always the most productive, but at the same time, like this is the card that they played with
Yeah.
us for so long. And although adding hate to this isn't hate, is not what I'm trying to say. Adding hate to the world doesn't help. And although this would appear that way, this is pent up aggression.
Yeah. But I felt too, like, I was like, you're like aiming it at the wrong person. I'm like,
Right,
why are
exactly.
you doing it to me?
It's a
I'm pissed
missing.
at her.
Like getting mad
not
at you about
me.
it.
Yeah, it's a missing.
Well, and that's what I
Exactly.
told him too. I was like, your rage is absolutely fucking valid. You're allowed to be
Yes.
angry.
Right.
But I'm going to send kindness to you because I know the world obviously hasn't been nice to you because it hasn't been nice to me either. So I'd rather send you love and light and know that I'm trying my best and hope that me being kind to you end up benefiting you.
And that's where people like you are super important in this too, because like I mentioned, people do need to breathe.
Yeah.
People need to take a step, like take a minute,
Yeah.
take a beat, you know, like re-energize and then find your energy to kind of put back into
It's
the
like,
fight.
I think there's that when we talk about this all the time, like the Trump Latinos for Trump, right? And I was like, I'm not disregarding that at all. 100%. I fucking agree. It's messed up that we would vote for, or not we, but those people in my community would vote for someone that is absolutely against their, their best interest. Yeah. And that they have racism in their own hearts, not just against, their own community, but against other communities. And I'm the first one that will sit there and fucking call them out on their bullshit. But I was just like, why are you, where did I write anything that made you think that?
Right.
Again, it was not personal. It's just like you said, there's a lot of rage and people
Yeah.
need to sometimes
Yeah.
take a breather
Yeah.
because there's a lot going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I took a step back and I was just like, listen, I get it.
Yeah.
You're pissed. I'm pissed. We're in this together. I'm just telling you. I don't. Yes. I'm like, but I'm here with you. I understand.
Yes.
But no, you're right. There's so much anger, and it's like we're all so quick to like. And I even wanted to like. I was upset at first. I was gonna respond nastily, and I was like, no, that's not what I am.
Right.
Anger is a result from pain.
Yes.
They have
Yes.
pain. They have grief.
Angry people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people.
And anger is a result from all that pain that they've faced in their life.
White supremacy. It's a lot of the basis of what we're all dealing with and experiencing and the historical relevance of what's going on with our country right now.
And I agree with you. I agree with both of you on the kindness and then like the, like being a little more stern. I tend to be more in the kindness part. Like
That's what we need, Jenny, though. Jenny is
you balance our asses out.
Even though Stella's like, I will go
okay,
cut a tire.
I will cut a tire. I am crazy, but I do believe kindness is number one. Like we've all faced racism. Come on. Every single one of us. When I moved out here in my area, people were saying comments to me like, I had my niece in a shopping cart. I remember this at Walmart, by the way. It was Walmart. She's not elite. She can go fuck herself. Sorry. No kind there. I was in a shopping cart with my daughter, my niece. My niece is a little bit darker. My daughter is half white, so she's a little lighter. The lady looked at me and loudly in front of everyone said, I know where our taxpayer dollars are going.
Jesus Christ. What the
And then I was like, whoa. And I was pregnant with Carter.
So this is where you fight people, right?
No. I stood down, but then I stopped myself and I was like, I'm pregnant. I'm better than this. The best form of revenge, guys, is not fighting them. It's being successful. Showing all these MFs, I don't want to say the full word, that we are smart, we are strong. We're going to achieve our dreams despite all the obstacles. And that's what we're doing right now. We are more knowledgeable. We are more educated. We're going to help those that are not. And that is the best form of revenge. And we're going to do it with a fucking smile.
There you go.
Yeah. See, so it's kind of mean and nice. So
it's a best of both worlds. Yeah, no, I get it.
I'll still slash a tire though.
I will too.
Let's do this.
Just because I'm a balance of the two, I can be a happy medium. No, I can slash a fucking tire.
Guys, we don't want to go to jail.
But we're not going to go to jail, right?
She's our alibi. Shut up. You're our alibi.
Right.
The getaway car.
You're my getaway. Your alibi is with slashing tires of all these freaking psychopaths torturing people.
To sum up this portion of the conversation, though, let's, as we mentioned earlier, grief looks so different on a lot of people. And just like how Jen explained and Stella explained, like there's angry people, there's people that can kill with kindness, both are essential to how we progress as a community, as a collective. But it was important for us to kind of have this discussion because we can't ignore what's happening, right?
There's too much.
It's our family, it's our familia, it's our primos, it's our tios, our tias, like our friends from high school. Like it's affecting way too many people and it's starting to get a little too close to home. So
They're all our family, though. That's the thing. Every
yeah,
single person in there represents a family member of ours. Every
right.
single one of them. They're all our family. And I think sometimes we forget that and we try disassociating ourselves from that. We got to remember, this is all our family.
Yeah.
We come from one area. A lot of us, yeah, we're Central American, South American, whatever. But in the end, we're all Latinos. We are one. And united, we can only be stronger.
Yeah. And hopefully we realize that, and we're realizing that, I think, after
think so,
seeing
yeah.
LA, I think we're finally realizing that and finally getting ourselves ahead. So
Yeah, a lot of organizers and organization in Chicago have been marching in solidarity the end of this week. The No Kings protests, this is coming up. There's all everywhere throughout Illinois and Chicagoland area.
right.
Yeah.
But all in all, be safe out there, protect yourselves, protect each other while you're out there. Know that we've got your backs too.
We love you, and we're all family in the end.
Yes.
And one day we'll all unite and break this cycle.
Yes. But we do have other forms of grief to talk about.
Oh, God,
too.
no.
So,
Okay, now I'm running. Can we talk about like slashing tires? Can we talk about craziness? I will talk about that all day. I told you that.
we know, Stella. We know, but we're gonna try and be vulnerable here and talk about the way we the things that we have grieved in our lives. Grieved. Sorry. Very important that I pronounce it the right way.
Rip off the band-aid.
Yeah, rip off the Band-Aid, Stella.
First, I need a little bit of time. Mine is very recent, few months. I don't think I'm still in denial. I'm still in the denial stage. And I know I am, and I don't want to face it. And the year before, I lost my grandma and grandpa within a day. And my grandma was kind of like a mom to me, so close. It tore me apart. So those I knew, though, they were longer. My dad was like just super fast cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I'll start then because I feel like my like personal grief is not a parent, but she was like a parent, but it's a long time ago. So
still hurts.
my abuelita, Lucy, she was like the first instance of true grief that I experienced when she passed away suddenly. She had a brain aneurysm when I was a freshman in high school. But my grandma had also struggled a lot with drug and alcohol abuse. Um, but she died in her sleep, and I remember that day so vividly. And what's crazy, we talk about the spiritual stuff. Like this is like how I know I'm spiritual. I was a nerd in school, and I was on the speech and debate team. We called it forensics back in the day, and we had gone to a different school for competition, and I left my house like super early in the morning, and it was like maybe like we're on the road 6:45 in the morning, and like we're passing by this field, and I got like the weirdest feeling, like I had deja vu, and I got like butterflies in my stomach. I was like, what is going on? I was a freshman. I was like 15 years old. I had no clue. I was like, what the heck is going on? And so I get to the school, we do all our stuff throughout the day. I felt off. And then I get home, and my friends, they drop me off, and I get there, and there's like a car that I didn't recognize, a van I didn't recognize in my driveway. And it was one of my mom's like friends or employees. And they're like, we got to drive you to the city, Jenny. I was like, where's my mom? And they're like, an emergency happened. Something is going on. We can't tell you. We just got to take you. And we went to the city, and my mom is like a wreck. And they're like, abuelita died. Like they found her. She wasn't at home. She was at a neighbor's house. She hit her head. She went to sleep, and she died in her sleep. And they think she died around 6:45 in the morning. When I felt the deja vu, and I have a feeling that was my abuelita like letting me know departing. And I was really young. My grandma was like the one who was like the matriarch, the glue of our family. And she kept everyone together, like, because my mom has a older brother and a younger sister, and, you know, sibling rivalry between the sisters, but they love each other now. But my grandma kept us all together. And my grandma pretty much raised me because my mom had me really young. She was 17 in high school. She became a high school dropout because she had me. But my grandma helped her take care of me. So, like, my abuelita was like my mommy. That was my mom. Like, she took care of me when my mom was working or she was gone. Like, I was always there. I was like, she was such a huge part of my life. And I lost it. I lost my shit. And that's like, I don't even know. Now that I'm older, I'm not sure how I would grieve, but I went through, like, it was really bad. And it's top of being like a fucking high schooler. So there's like the depression. I had a really hard time for 2 years. And it's been like, what, like 25 years now. And it still feels like fresh sometimes. But yeah, that's like the hardest grief that I experienced that would be similar to like what you guys went through with losing a parent. But I haven't lost, like, my mom is alive, she's strong, God willing. She stays alive for a long time. But the other bit of grief too that I think might be like I can kind of share in terms of my experience is the grief of not like losing yourself almost sometimes in motherhood, but then also uh grieving my old self because of my chronic illness. And I think that's been the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now, like not being able to do the things that I used to do, not looking the same, not feeling the same, like that has been really hard for me. And I've been grieving, like trying to figure out a new way of life, and this new reality for me, and how that impacts how I can mother my children, how I can take care of myself, how I can take care of my family. So those are like the two, when I was thinking about the episode, like the two things that stood out the most to me was that, and then grieving my old self, not just because of things like motherhood, right? Because we change so much, but also grieving who I was before I was sick and not being able to be that person anymore. Yeah. Especially because my mom was so young. She was the grown up.
Does that mean I'm gonna go, Stella?
I think so, but I do want to tell you, losing your grandma is losing a parent.
Yeah.
She raised you. She was your mom. Yeah, that was your mama. So yeah, it's a big loss. And the mommyhood, we can all relate to that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And just want to point out, you look amazing.
Oh,
So you mentioned the look
yes.
thing. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You look awesome.
Stella, take your own advice.
Oh, enough. I am unrealistic. Leave me alone.
I know you mentioned that I lost a parent, and it the thing is, though, I didn't have a great relationship with my dad. So my grief was odd. It was angry, because so many things left unsaid, so many things we didn't get to talk about. He was a difficult human to be around, and even when we had his send off, you know, he has older kids that weren't even present. I only had like one of my half brothers and my half sister were there, and it was like so short lived when they were there. And it's interesting because after that event, it's like I never heard from either of them again. So, but it also goes to show like the difficult relationship he also had with his older kids too. So it just like translated into our family too. So my grief was mostly kind of angry, but like unsurprised when he finally passed, because he had been struggling with so much at the time, with his health, and also just being stubborn. Terco, like didn't want to do physical therapy to heal his back because he had back surgery. So he was basically bedridden, and, you know, didn't want to help himself, I guess. So I still have, even after all these years, have weird mixed feelings about my dad passing. And, but I will say that when I finally found out I was pregnant with my youngest, it was a few months after he had passed already, and I had every notion to feel like he had something to do with that, because we had been trying already for probably about a year and a half, maybe, and nothing, like nothing was happening. And then my dad passed. And, I remember telling my dad, like, I want to have another baby. And he was like, yeah, another baby would be great, because he loves babies. He loves small children. And yeah, I'm pretty sure my dad had something to do with me finally being pregnant with my little one. So I still thank him for that, of course. My grief, as I was thinking about this topic, like, it actually has a lot to do with friendship. I lived with an emotionally abusive dad. So I went to friends to try and like find love and friendship and affection and whatever. Losing so many friendships throughout the years. The biggest one was when I left my dance company. Not to talk a big game, but I was good.
Badass.
And I feel like people love to kind of like tailgate off of the like how good you are. So they like to pretend that they know you. They like to pretend that they're really good friends with you, and then they'll tell their friends that, oh, I'm friends with so and so. And like, aren't they awesome? Aren't they dope? So I do know, like, in my dance company, like, I felt like my director definitely favored the guys in our crew the most, of course. And so they were being treated much differently than a lot of the women and the girls in the company. I remember when we had to announce that we were pregnant and that we were leaving the company. And it came at such a strange time, because I was already kind of like feeling like this wasn't for me anymore. Like, I don't know how I can keep going on like this, just loving what I do, but like hating my life, like hating the fact that like I can't seem to get the kind of recognition or respect from my directors. And I remember hearing that like my oldest child, her father like had told someone else in the company, one of the directors in the company, that that I was pregnant. It was almost like a disappointment, like, oh, not her. So it was such a bummer that like this was kind of the reaction that I was getting because I was the girl.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, he was kind of like a rising star in the company too. So he was like getting a lot of recognition. He was like winning awards, and it was great for him. Like, he was like on a high. And then all of a sudden I got pregnant. So it meant that we were probably going to have to leave the company. Once I had my oldest daughter, everybody was like so excited. Like, I was the first of my friends to like have a child. And at first, everybody was excited. Everybody wanted to come over. Everybody wanted to give gifts, and everybody wanted to like, give their send-offs and whatever. And then as time went on, like, we lose connection. We don't keep in touch as much because now our lives are different, which is totally fine. I think we all kind of like knew that was what was going to happen. Before either of us were really even ready to go back into dance, he kind of ended up going into dance without really telling me. He got like all that fame recognition back, right? So I was kind of left behind. What was supposed to be like a mutual thing for us to go back into the industry ended up just being like him making a decision on his own. He's going to go do this thing. And now he's got all the friends, he's got all the people back. And no one gave a flying fuck about me. And that sucked. That sucked because I thought these people cared about us and our new child. But I was not useful to them anymore. Like, I didn't have the connections that I had. I didn't have like I lost everybody. Like, I lost the people that I met on conventions and competitions. I lost the friends that I had within the company. And even though at first it really was just the fact that like our lives are different now, but we were still supporting them. Like, we were still showing up at shows, at performances, even in auditions, at parades, like we were still supporting them where we could, when we could. So I was hoping that they could see that I still wanted to be their cheerleader as much as possible. But definitely did not get reciprocated as time went on. And, as an adult, it's hard to make friends. It's like not easy. So when I joined the church, I had made some friends. Like, I reconnected with someone that I used to work with in retail. And, retail can really create some good friendships too. So
Trauma bonding
for real. And so I saw this girl that I used to work with, and I was like elated because I was like, where have you been? I haven't seen you forever. You go to this church? No way. Let's start going to all these events. And we started going to all these like 20-something events. And her friends became my friends, and like some people that I met in those things like also became her friends. So we became like a little group too. And then I honestly don't even remember how that even ended either. But that was also hard for me too, because like you make another strong bond in a different way, built on faith, by the way, which is almost like a whole different type of trauma that gets disconnected once you lose those friendships, right? So it's those that was difficult for me too, because like I lost like a really good small group of friends. We all started to like they all had children. I was the only one that had the child, and they would help me like babysit her or whatever. They were so awesome, like with my oldest child. Yeah. So it was almost like we had this whole life in our 20s, like with my child, you know, like we were all kind of like hanging out, getting ice cream, going downtown and celebrating each other. And now all of a sudden we're just like not in each other's lives all of a sudden. And, you know, now that my oldest is turning 18, I did send out invitations to them just because they were so involved in her life when she was little. And I only really got response from one person. And no, they're not going. But it was almost kind of sad because like we really separated this much, but like
You were trying.
I was trying to at least reach out because I know that they had a big impact on her life, and I thought maybe they would want to, you know, celebrate this milestone with her. It's okay that they don't, you know, it just sucks. But like even after I lost my father, only one of them reached out to me to kind of like send their condolences. And I think that was just kind of like the beginning of the end already. Like I already knew that this was kind of like the end of our friendship. But like I said, making friends as adults is so hard and it's awkward. And the last thing I want to bring up about grief is my diagnosis. And that's probably the hardest one. I'm already getting emotional.
I love you.
I got diagnosed with ADHD at like 38, 39. And it was kind of like a wild ride. Like I kind of already knew that I had like these symptoms of ADHD. I think going through some hormonal changes also kind of just made it more challenging. So if anybody's in perimenopause, like you are not alone. So I was just like so dysregulated, like irritable all the fucking time. Just a fucking rage monster. You're just so angry all the time. And you're just like watching your body change, and you're like hating yourself and hating your body and hating everyone around you because nobody wants to fucking listen to you. But you're just also having just a huge, but I know I've talked about spiraling too, but like that's where my hyperactivity is. It's in my brain. Like I will spiral and go from point A to point Z in like 2 seconds. And then I'm just on my back, like having a panic attack. So when I got my diagnosis, the fact, I mean, I will say it was super validating, right? I'm not crazy.
No.
I'm not crazy.
No.
I've been feeling so dysregulated and just so just absolutely insane, like just out of body. And I think after talking to both my therapist, shout out to Linda, and my psychiatrist, you know, like they were both like they asked me questions about my childhood and what it was like, the difficulty of it. Like going through certain subjects in school, like what it was like interacting with other people, like what my friendships were like too. And it's probably an example of like what I just talked about too with my friendships. Grieving the fact that I went through my whole life masking everything. Like, sorry.
You're so strong. So strong.
You know, like just thinking that you're doing the thing that everybody wants you to do because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Masking through all of it. You're masking pain. You're masking struggle. You're masking your real thoughts and feelings. Forget the fact that like we already have like language barriers between us and our parents, you know? So the struggle already just to tell them like what is wrong, but to the fact that you have to act like nothing is wrong for optics, like so that no one thinks something is wrong with our family. Grieving the fact that I just went through my entire life masking all of my shit. So yeah, that diagnosis was both validating and like heartbreaking. Just the fact that like I was really struggling all through that entire time. And yeah, I do recall a time in high school I was going through some severe depression, and I was like not doing well in school at the time. And I guess there was a meeting that happened with my academic counselor and my parents. And his suggestion was that maybe I was on drugs. And I was like, fuck the fact that I'm just sad and I kind of just like want to die. Yeah, no, it's just I'm on drugs. I'm on drugs, guys.
That's her fallback.
Yeah.
I swear.
It was, and I think that was probably even more upsetting to hear that too. The fact that nobody, like, he didn't care enough to actually dig any deeper
Or
besides,
talk to you.
or even
Like,
ask.
what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that it's like,
Isn't that hard?
yeah, school stuff. It's hard. And I see it from the perspective of a parent who advocated for their kid who is on the spectrum. And I know exactly what she
Right.
was doing because she's doing what you
Right.
did, but I saw through it and no one believed me. And instead of asking like what's wrong, it's like, oh, you're just being a bad parent, or there's something else wrong and we can't help you, or you're
Right.
on
Or they're just a
drugs.
bad kid, or I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
And that's what's so, and I think that was the other thing too. You're watching you ping some of her biggest challenges, but also just allowing her to feel whatever the fuck she was feeling. Because I can't remember a time I was ever allowed to just be upset, be sad. And if I did show any kind of like emotion, like being sad or anything, I was ridiculed.
Yeah, or yelled at or hit.
Or yeah, right.
Mhm.
It, oh my God. Dude.
Yeah. But like I think the thing is that because I saw through that and I like remember talking to you
Yeah.
about things, the fact that
Yeah.
I didn't want to make the same mistakes that my parents
Right.
made
Yeah.
with my kid. And I was like, I know and this is before I even knew what like autism was. And it's just like, I knew something was wrong and she's not being a bad kid. Like, cause that's such the stigma
Right.
around, oh, if you're have ADHD,
Right,
your kid doesn't
exactly.
listen. They're just running around.
They're just defiant kids, right? They're just
But I was like, no, there's more. There's something else. And like, I can see the change. Like, I
right.
can physically see when she masks, and it trips me the fuck out. And I didn't want to do that to her. At least the one place she could feel safe is at home.
At home.
And that's why I think it's so like important with our friendship too. Is like, I remember talking to you about this, and I'm like, the one place that you should feel safe with is with me. Like, you can be who you are. I don't give a shit. And you tell me these things, and you're like, I know I sound crazy. I'm like, no, actually, you don't sound crazy.
Right. That was how all
You
my
need to
texts would
talk
go.
to
Like, do I sound
Linda.
crazy or is it
And don't be afraid of medication. I remember
right?
that. Like,
Mhm.
just
You're like, don't be afraid of medication. And honestly, medication has been a fucking godsend, let me tell you. But you know, the fact that I also have a spectrum kid has also kind of been really revealing to me too. So I could see the patterns and the characteristics that she had, and even before she got diagnosed, it was also that element of like, am I fucking crazy, or is it just this just different? Like, is this unique? Because I don't recall this in any of the kids that I not helped raise, but I babysat, you know, like my nephews and my nieces. Like, this is just like not a common thing that I'm seeing. And she was already so little. So that's why I felt like I was crazy, right? I was a crazy one. So when she got diagnosed, I was also sobbing because I was like, oh my God.
there is a thing called
I was right.
ADHD.
Yeah.
I was so right. And but like watching how she's evolved and developed, but like seeing her patterns too is also what was revealing to me about my ADHD. And now that time has gone even further. And I talked to your partner, boyfriend, husband, almost husband.
Basically husband.
Right. He also diagnosed me with ADHD, which now makes even more sense because the more that I read about ADHD, I'm like, God damn, this is for real. I cannot believe like how much I can actually relate to this, how many instances I can pull out of my life of like how these characteristics are so poignant. But yeah, there was essentially just so much grief and like realizing like there was a struggle back then, and I just kind of put up with it. And that's the thing with Latino families too. The fact, like I just mentioned, like if you're a bad kid, if you're defiant, you're just looked at as a bad kid. You're hit, you're yelled at, you're ridiculed. Like, and that was something that I really wanted to change with my oldest anyway. Like, fuck what they say about gentle parenting. Like, it's really just unlearning the shit that the parents did for us. And that's like not even gentle parenting. That's parenting. We're unlearning the emotional abuse that we had experienced with our parents. And like, that's not something I want to keep passing on to my kids. So, with my oldest, it was almost like easier to kind of go through the flow with her on that. But with my second was definitely a challenge, and like seeing how, you know, how she's progressed and evolved and stuff, but like seeing the patterns in myself too. So much revealing in just the past few years.
I think it's validating though too, and it's like it gives you, I think it hurts because you're like, I needed help, but then it also strengthens you because now you as a mom know better, so you're doing better for the kids.
And we have the tools.
Yes.
We have the tools, we have the education behind it. There's just so much more information out there to just learn. And then just to kind of help with regulation too. Like, there is a hormonal aspect to it. I won't lie. Like, when I got my diagnosis, like I know that had everything to do with how dysregulated I was. And I think there's still like a lot to learn about the relationship between perimenopause and ADHD, because like that also doesn't help with your mood. That doesn't help with your emotional stability. Like, I'm sure that has a lot to contribute it, but it was almost kind of shocking. Like, this was what the unmasking part was the fact that now I'm over this phase of my life. And now I'm like, oh my God, I need something to help me with this. Yeah. And medication, thank God I got medication. And on the subject of medication, like learning how to kind of advocate for yourself to know what's not working and what is working. I will say ADHD meds is not for everybody. Like, my anxiety was on top of me for a certain point, but there was a lot happening in the past year since I started meds. So I'm also on antidepressants for my anxiety. Yep. But seriously, I'm on like supplements for perimenopause. I'm on medication for my anxiety and my ADHD. Yes. But it has done so much for me. Like, it has done so much. Like, my mood is so much better. I have like such a better energy. Like, I actually want to hang out with my friends now.
You're smiling.
That's why I'm here.
You're smiling.
And I know that like the hard times are not going to be hard all the fucking time, because right now we are definitely in like a holy shit time. And yeah, like now it's the days are just not as hard as they used to be. So I'm like so grateful for medication, honestly.
There's no more, like, I feel like the stigma about it is way, way less now. Like,
Yeah.
they put me on antidepressants too because they thought that my pain originally that I was dealing with was neurological. So like they thought it was
Yes.
I was like,
They gave that to my mom
Yes.
too.
It didn't do shit for my pain.
Was it Cymbalta?
Yes.
Yes, they gave that to my mom too.
Yes, but it helped with my anxiety. So now I deal with the pain better. But that's what helped us figure out that it was RA and it wasn't just like a neurological anxiety, fibromyalgia kind of thing, which is like the end all be all shit. Like, when they can't figure it out, they're like, oh yeah, you have fibromyalgia.
But the journey you went through to try and get to this point.
Yes, but I feel like pills get such a sick. Oh, you should just take
this or that supplement.
Yeah, this supplement.
Take this vitamin.
Like, it's not gonna stop my body from eating a lamb itself, guys. But yeah, no, I'm glad. Like, I feel like I remember you talking about getting meds, and then I remember telling you, I'm like, who said I should try this? And then after I tried it for 3 months, and I was like, I told my doctor, no, I want to keep. But she's like, but it's not helping your pain. I was like, no, but it's helping my anxiety. I haven't had a panic attack in like 2 months.
Isn't that funny though, the way you kind of weigh out which is the most important thing to kind of take care of? I'll deal with the pain. I cannot handle this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like meds, they get such a bad rap, but I get it too. Like, you don't want to put all those chemicals, and big pharma is a fucking thing, but I think you need it sometimes. Yeah.
But it's also because meds are a journey too. Like, not everything works right away. I have chronic migraines, so like I kind of gave up ever trying any kind of prescription meds for my migraines. And then I got on a newer one like within the last few years. Like, there's probably like a 15-year gap where I didn't take anything for my migraines. I just suffered through them and took over the counter shit.
Ouch.
And it was terrible. It was not great.
Wow.
And then finally, like I said, in the last few years, one of my gynos was like, I'm going to prescribe you this. You should try it. She's like, I bet you're going to feel so much better. like, okay,
You gotta
sure,
tell me
let's
what
try
this
it.
is,
Yeah.
Jenny. But I think my migraines are because of the RA, because it impacts my neck. So I don't know. But you should tell me what it is later, and then I will. I'm gonna tell my doctor, like, because I'm on the triptans, but it's only like when I catch it early enough that it helps. Because it gave me soup.
Mm.
Uh,
So what I had to do is I had to take it every other day first, and I did that for like a few months. And then she said, like, once you've kind of get it under control, like you have less than what for like if you have at least 5 days of migraines now, like at this point, like start taking them just when you get it.
oh, nice.
And then I got to that point finally where it was like I wasn't having like 2 weeks worth of one fucking migraine that lasted like 2 weeks.
Are you?
Yeah, man, that shit is
She is. This is why we connected so
Right.
well, is over the fucking migraines to start with.
seriously. And I know all the tips and tricks now of like how to fucking get rid of some of these migraines.
You need any tips, guys? You know who to contact.
It's me, girl.
Yeah.
It's me.
Like, Jenny, what do I need to take? Combine this and this, and then drink some electrolytes.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I just chug the electric. Actually, you were the one that told me to chug a Powerade.
Yes.
And it wasn't the Powerade that actually helped me. It was just straight electrolytes because the Powerade had too much sugar.
Oh.
I did coconut water too.
So, yes. Oh my God. So, oh my God.
Fridge now.
No, seriously, always have it on hand.
Yes. Okay. After a workout, coconut water and electrolytes. I swear to God, because I would also get migraines after workout because I'm hot. My head is burning, like.
It's almost like POTS sounding though, like POTS, where it's like you get
Oh
dizzy
no,
and
am I being
stuff.
diagnosed with something else?
I
Oh,
don't know.
crap.
No, that's just because
Oh no.
you
Let's
should
go
look that up
more.
later. It almost sounds like
I mean, I
POTS.
haven't done like heavy cardio in forever, so it probably won't even matter. But
I mean, do you get hot?
I mean, I
and
do
you
sweat a
can
lot.
just walk
I do get
somewhere?
hot, but I figured that's just my perimenopause.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a kitty?
Sorry, guys. My emotional support cat's here.
I can't touch the
Except-
kitty because of my allergies.
Yeah, no, he's trying to bite me though. Emotional support my
Speaking
ass.
of pills, I took an allergy pill before I came because I knew.
That's so smart. I totally forgot.
He's
I-
underneath, right by you. Kind of.
See, but cats usually love me because they know I'm allergic.
Like, let me give you more puffy eyes.
Right? Oh, there he is. Oh, you're so cute.
He's sitting on a chair.
And he's rubbing himself against my stuff. So.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna let next
Hi.
thing you have.
Please don't bite me. Please don't bite me.
Oh gosh.
Please don't bite me. Please don't bite me. He did bite me once before.
He bit me.
His little tail, little poof.
Yeah, he's a bobcat. Bobtail.
Okay, Stella, stop avoiding this shit.
It's your turn.
Get into it.
Oh man. Okay.
We all
Well,
just cried. Okay, so it's your turn.
I'm really just sharing this because I know there's a lot of people that have been through this. I've been so blessed in my life with my family. Like, I'm blessed with my extended family. I'm blessed with my immediate family. I lost a lot of family, including once I had a 13-year-old cousin who fought cancer for a year.
Wow.
And she lost. So that was a huge refining moment where basically I realized that dreams don't come true. Miracles don't exist. So that's when I really lost that naive Ashley, that naive, like I always had hope. I always believed in miracles. I believed in the good. And that's when I kind of lost it when she passed. I had my grandpa die last year. And then this year in December 8th, the worst day ever, my dad passed. Cardiac arrest out of nowhere. It was sudden. And he called me that Saturday. I was at the gym. I'm like, oh, Dad, why are you calling? He's like, did you call me? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, my coffee. I was supposed to bring him coffee that my boyfriend brought from New Jersey for him. He loved the coffee in New Jersey. I don't know why. He loved it. It's called Quick Check coffee. It's their gas station. They don't call it a gas station though. But I had the coffee. I'm like, I'm going to give it to you. I knew I should have given him to him earlier that week. And he suddenly passed. So I didn't get a chance to give him the coffee or say goodbye.
That's probably what's really affecting you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there was no
goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
feel like though the universe, like, because he called you just so randomly, it's like something.
He would call me
something-
though. He'll keep an eye on me.
But, like, that day, though, like, it's just, like, he just randomly called you and you're like, "Oh, you forgot about my coffee." It's like that was your moment to, like, talk, and at least you had, like, even if it was you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like the universe works in such weird ways with stuff like that.
Yeah, like losing suddenly is, I don't know if it's better or worse than long term, but what I do know, you can't really accept it. It takes a while to accept
Yeah.
what happened because you're like, oh no, I'm going to see him. Because it's all of a sudden your body's in shock. I'm still in shock.
Mhm.
Sometimes I realize it and break down. Sometimes I don't. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to see him. See my emotional support cats right here. Oh, and he's right by the photo of my dad and I.
Oh,
Oh, Papa's here. He's
Yeah.
watching over.
he's eating this.
Or he's having a major facepalm moment looking at me and being like, oh my God, what are you doing now? um, but yeah, it was a sudden goodbye out of nowhere. Like with my grandma, I know she was ill, she was dying. My grandpa too. I mean, he was 99. He lived. My dad was young. He was 64.
Yeah, that is young.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere. And his birthday's 3 days before mine.
Hmm.
So
That just passed too.
yeah, in December. So for his birthday, we went to his gravesite. We brought flan, his favorite food, and pizza, and we were all together for his birthday. But yeah, it's yeah. It's just hard facing it.
Gone.
I think the hardest part is realizing you could have spent more time with them and you didn't.
Hmm.
So, for everyone that still has their parents, take time with them. Spend time with them. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go out. No, fuck that. Spend time with your parent. Because I didn't spend that much time with them. Sorry, peeps. I rather slash tires, I know. So, one thing I'm going to do, my cousin has a photo of this guy in Hawaii who looks exactly like my dad. I want to go there and I want to find the guy and hug him because I never gave my dad a last goodbye. I never said goodbye and I never gave him a last hug. So I want to do that just because he looks exactly like my dad. She brought the photo and she's like, this looks like Dio, like my dad. And I'm like, holy crap, is that dad? When the hell did he go to Hawaii without me? What the hell? But this guy looks just like my dad. And I know it sounds weird, but I kind of really want to go because I want to find him and hug him and just say goodbye. Just a hug because I didn't get that. He literally just died suddenly on my sister. So she's like really like hurt. And I try being strong because I'm the big sister. I can't cry. I have to be the strong one because they all cry. So I really don't let myself cry. I really don't let myself grieve because, again, I'm the oldest in a Hispanic family. I have to be strong. But I never said goodbye. I never gave him his fucking coffee. So if you guys have parents, spend time with them. Don't be mad at them. Answer the phone. Because when you lose them, holy fuck, it hurts. And I was so lucky. I had the best dad. Like, the world could be against me. Like, I had people mad at me about my divorce, like, criticizing me. My dad stood by my side every fucking day, never criticized me, never judged me. He always had my back. There was days where I want to hug you, and I guess one day we do have to face that we lost them. But we also have to keep their memories alive by going forward.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to fucking Hawaii. I'm gonna hug that random man who looks just like dad. We just gotta keep on living for them. So, to every listener who's lost a parent, I know how you feel. Everything. And it sucks because you never said goodbye with the sudden one. So I have faced both sudden and long-term grief and, I mean, long-term losing a family member. But the sudden one, there's no final chapter. It's just, it was taken from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he's here. I hope I can see him one day. But I kind of want to tell him I'm okay.
He knows.
I hope so, because he was
definitely
always
knows.
worried sending me money, making sure I had food. I didn't tell him that. That's why I got so skinny, guys. I didn't tell him I didn't have food, because when the kids aren't here, I didn't buy myself groceries. I literally ate like once a day, maybe, because I didn't have money. Yeah. So I want to make sure he knows that I'm okay. And maybe one day I'll finally face this reality that he's gone, but right now I'm grieving. But later on, I know I'm gonna go in the denial stage again and be like, I'm just gonna see him this weekend. And then this weekend it's gonna pass, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I'll see him next weekend. It's just this denial thing. And I know I'm facing it, and I think it's a way to protect myself from this overwhelming amount of pain and grief that no amount of slashing tires will help me. No amount.
I think with our culture, it's like there's this duality, right? With you being the strongest, Stella, because you're the oldest, right? We're the oldest. But I also think there's the duality side of it, of how we honor our lost family members in our culture. And I see it in like a lot of Latin and Mexican and even in Puerto Rico. There's a lot of honoring of your dead ancestors and the idea that they're always with you and beside you and they walk through life with you. Like what you said, Jenny, like you feel you owe it to your dad for when you were pregnant, right? And Stella, I feel like your dad is watching over you and there's, I don't know, there's always like this air about you where it's like you have someone there with you, and it's probably him. And I think in our culture, as much as there's also that denial, there's also this beauty of how we honor our ancestors. So personally, I have in Puerto Rico, there's our culture, there's a lot of like Yoruba influence, and in terms of spirituality, there's like this mixture of like the Taino traditions, Yoruba, and then of course like the Catholicism and stuff, and it's all mixed in and it creates this spiritism kind of belief system. And I have an ancestor altar that I have the ancestors that have passed away. I have pictures on them. It's kind of like what they do in Mexico with, during Dia de los Muertos, only I have mine up year round. And I honor them, light a candle, leave an offering. I literally will like stand and I'll put my hand there and I'll talk to them because within my personal belief system, maybe other people don't, believe the same way. I think that yes, there's heaven, but I also think that our ancestors have the ability to walk beside us and be with us. And I feel my grandma constantly. Um, and I remember telling Jenny, again, here's my witchy side, telling Jenny that I had a dream about her dad and her around the time that he had passed away. But I always feel like there's an energy around you, Stella, and I think it's probably your dad. And I feel like I get that energy, like those vibes around you all the time.
I don't know. I have a lot then because I had so many family members pass, in just the 2 years. What I had three.
3, yeah, and I remember, Ashley, I remember you doing the, fundraising and stuff
Yeah,
when
and
we
then
were in
my uncle
school.
Junior the month
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's freaking crazy, but like I know, I just wish he was still here. I just wish I could say goodbye. That's all I want to do is say goodbye to him and I'm going to be okay. You can go. Because I know he would fight to stay on. We don't know what he died from. It was cardiac arrest, but cardiac arrest is usually from something. I don't know what it was, but we never looked to see what it was. And I just feel like there's no ending there. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad, but I just want my dad.
Closure is important. It's hard when you don't get to say goodbye.
I would do anything to have him come back, like anything in this world. That's why when I see people fighting with their dad or parents, and I'm just like, fuck, I'll do anything to have my dad. Like anything. And I get jealous. I'm like literally so jealous. Even like when my kids fight with their dad, I'm like, what are you doing? You have a dad. Because once they're taken, it hurts. It really hurts. Because that was your protector. That was your one person that had your back. Like me and my mom, I love her. We're close. But my dad was, he was that your protector. He was that one person you can
Yeah.
fall back on.
Stella, you were a daddy's girl,
You were.
100%. I remember.
I had more of his personality too. He would
Yeah.
joke around all the
Yeah.
time, and he probably taught me how to slash a tire. I'm kidding. Another thing is like, when people say I'm sorry, like when someone died, don't say that. I would recommend people asking, how are they? How's your dad? Like, tell me about him. Like, that just puts a smile on my face just thinking about him. Yeah, and I think what he would want me to do is live my life. So that's what I need to do. Get my ass up from grieving and live.
But grieving is okay.
I
Yeah.
know. I've had so much to grieve for in the past few years.
That's not like
There's
I feel
no
like it's so
limit.
fresh too. Like for your dad, it's only been what 5 months, 6 months almost, and that's so fresh. And I was just thinking about you too. Like Father's Day is hard.
On Sunday,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go visit him at the grave.
Yeah.
I'll be there with my dog Lilo and maybe bring him some Coca-Cola and pizza. But, yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think that's crazy, the Hawaii thing?
No, do it. Find his doppelganger. Like you gotta be like not weird about it though, and tell him like, hey, you look a lot like my dad. Here's a picture.
Is he like a friend of a friend or
No,
something?
no,
Or
my
is he just a
cousin
complete stranger?
It's just a stranger. My cousin found him there. She literally saw him. She's like, "You look just like my uncle. Can we take a photo?" She took a photo, and I thought my dad went to Hawaii. I'm like, when the hell did he go without me?
So I'm not going to lie to you. Like this balloon has been getting closer and closer to you as we've been talking about your dad. I just want to point that out.
It's Hawaii.
Yeah, like I've been watching this balloon like move a lot. I know there's a vent over there, but it's been actually getting closer to you.
Over here.
Okay, so then that doesn't
Mija,
make sense.
That's the universe telling you though. You should go to Hawaii, but don't be weird about it.
Progressively getting closer to you. I'm going to be the other side of the. Please don't meet that person because what if they're actually terrible?
Oh no, I'm just gonna hug them.
And then it just. What if they don't want you to be hugged?
I don't know. He was hugging my cousin in that photo.
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
He was hugging her in the photo, and I'm like, when the hell did I go to Hawaii? This is bullshit.
That's sweet. Okay.
It was really sweet.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Because I would be worried that this guy is just a total
And then
and
I'll
like
cry.
totally ruin your image. Your dad.
I think all you want to do is give him a hug, call it a day. That's it. And
That's
leave.
it. I just want to hug him one time just to like kind
What
of
a
like
great excuse to go to Hawaii.
No, yeah, that too. And also to say goodbye to my dad. It's just like my dad looked 100% Hawaiian. I mean, anyone that saw him. And by the way, I have balloons in my house because my birthday just passed. So the boyfriend decorated the whole place.
But just this one balloon has just been getting closer and closer
it's the
to
Lilo
Stella.
balloon, Lilo and Stitch balloon.
And it's Hawaii.
It's Hawaii.
It's
I
Hawaii.
think that's your sign, Stella.
I'm telling you, I need to go to Hawaii. I really have to. Too bad I'm so broke.
So what are we doing to cope?
I'm in denial. Like, I'm not coping in
I'll
reality.
be honest. If I ever, when, because I know it's going to happen at some point, right? Because everybody passes away. When I lose my mom, I know I'm going to end up like Stella. So like even thinking about it gets me all like upset because I lose my mom.
So I
World is
think
gonna
there
end.
is a little bit of denial sometimes though with that. Do you feel open enough to share what's going on with her? Is she okay with you sharing what's going on with her?
My mom is going to survive this regardless because that's just the way my mom is. But my mom was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer about 2 years ago. I don't even think it was a coincidence that she got sick like after my dad passed, by the way. It was almost like finally when she's at rest, like when she's now at peace, doesn't have to worry about my dad, then she gets sick. 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer, and the way that it happened was super traumatic, like the way that we found out, because she did go in for a biopsy, and then that same day after the procedure for the biopsy, she was like in agonizing pain, and she ended up in the hospital for like a month and a half. Like she was in the ICU. They kept telling me like she's not dying. Which was only like a little glimmer of hope, right? Like she's not dying. She's just dealing with whatever this is right now. And nobody to this day, we still don't even know what actually happened in that month that she was suffering post biopsy. But we had found out while she was in the ICU that she did in fact have cancer in like the liver, lung area, something like that. Anyway, she was in remission for like a solid year, I want to say. And then we found out earlier this year that that her cancer had come back, and they approached it a lot more aggressively because I guess these growths were growing a lot faster. Ooh, you okay? You're okay. And so she did some radiation therapy and chemo too. So she's about to complete 2 more rounds of chemo, and she is hopefully going to be done. But my mom is honestly like a fucking badass. Like she was hospitalized at least 5 or 6 times last year for different issues. Like she dislocated a hip. She had some gallbladder issues and had it removed. Like she just had all a blood clot in her lung. Like all of these crazy ass things that have happened. And honestly, there should be like a freaking flyer rewards system for the fucking hospital because Jesus Christ. But anyway, my mom still manages to kind of come out on top. Like she has the best attitude about all of this. And she's not scared of dying, but I am. I'm scared of her dying. My oldest daughter makes jokes too, like, when you go, I go. And I'm like, I make the same comment about my mom. Like, if my mom goes, I'm fucking going. There's no way. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to survive without my mom. But her spirit and her energy has been so insanely amazing through this entire process. Like, she's just been approaching everything with no fear. So I really hope that I can approach life the same way if anything like that was to happen to me. But I know I'm going to end up like still too, like in complete denial that if my mom ever goes, like, no, my mom's not gone. What are you talking about?
She's not going to go.
But she is seriously incredible. So, yeah.
I think that highlights how incredible you guys are too. Like you have amazing parents that created amazing people. I feel the same way as you guys. And my mom, it's so funny because she talks about this too, but my mom's young. She had when she was 17, right? So she's still relatively young. She was in the hospital last year. It scared the shit
That
out
was
of
scary.
us. That was
Yeah, I
very
remember.
scary. She got a kidney stone that got infected, and then she was like moments away from sepsis, and they caught it just in time. And that will make you die. And I'm glad that, like, because my mom is like your typical Latina mother. Like, I don't want to go to the hospital. And I'm like, you need to fucking go to the doctor and get a checkup every year because I don't need you dying. I don't need something stupid to happen.
That's what's wild. Like, that's not my mom. Like, I hear about that so much. Like, even Danny's like that too. Like, I'm not going to the fucking doctor because then I'm going to find out something is wrong, right?
That's what she's.
But my mom is just like, something's wrong. I'm going to go to the doctor. Like, she's the exact opposite.
On it.
She is on
Thank
it.
God she's fucking
Right,
on
because
it.
that's probably why she's still with us right now, because she's just like,
She takes care of herself.
right. She's like, something's up. I'm going to go to the doctor and I'm just going to ask, even if it's something so ridiculous. Let me tell you, my mom was like, my poop is black. Do I need to go to the doctor?
Yes, that's not good.
No,
for
but
your
it was because she
liver.
took
Pepto?
Pepto.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it always
She
happens
was
with
not.
Pepto. Yeah.
Because she was dealing with some like weird poop issues. And she was like freaking out, like, my poop is black. Do I need to go to the
No,
hospital?
always
Like,
with Pepto. Yeah.
You had Pepto.
You
We're
had
good.
Pepto.
We're good. But yeah.
that's the only problem with chronic illness. I know all kinds of stupid shit I should have known. So that's why I get paranoid.
Her cancer too, like, it would probably
Yeah.
come out kind of weird too anyway. But anyway, yes, you guys got to learn about my mom's poop.
We love our mommy.
There's nothing wrong with that. We do love our mommies and dads and everyone.
I think though too, like, I know the denial, but I also feel like coping is hard. But when you have a community, like, we cope with each other, and I think that's important. So like, if you have friends that you can reach out to, talk through things, because I feel like we can get lost in our grief sometimes, and like that will take a toll on you mentally and physically, because even if we don't, like, grief can show up in, like, what is it called, in like physical ways.
In like
I forget what it's
destructive
called.
ways.
Yeah, I forget what it's called when it, like, when you don't deal with trauma in your body, it'll come up, like, you can get sick, like what you're saying, like your mom finally rested after your dad passed and then she gets sick, right? It's like we hold those things in our body, and you can hold grief in your body, and if you don't release that in some way, like, that can cause you to get sick. So I do think that, like, finding community is really important when it comes to managing that grief and talking about it. Therapy is a huge, like, I know I'm biased. We're biased for
We're biased because we
Linda.
love our therapist.
Yes. But like therapy, Yes, is a huge, huge thing, even if we're just like dumping, right,
Yeah.
our feelings, but you're releasing that in a productive way and you're not holding it. Cause I know that's a big thing within a lot of women in our community is holding on to that and not releasing those feelings or there's those emotions or that grief or that anger, right? And then that can lead to other things like you physically getting sick. I know I'm cheesy, but it's the artist in me. Journaling, whether you're writing or
Oh, that's not cheesy at
drawing
all. That's
or
so real.
creating, it's so helpful in processing. I had a really hard time a couple of years ago processing like me not feeling, right? Like all before I got all of my autoimmune diagnosis stuff done. Um and Linda suggested like you paint, Jenny. Why don't you just paint? You draw. And I did this huge painting of like a woman. It wasn't necessarily me, but it's just like how I saw things on a blooming rose that had thorns and it was in this huge thorn like field and it was like crying and all the tears were turned into rain. And that was like my way of like my like channeling the anger and frustration I had with dealing with the health of my body into a way that I could release it and put it on something physical. So whether it's like journaling, scrapbooking, painting, drawing, coloring, like releasing and using your hands in some way, I think can be really helpful in managing and coping with grief or any kind of like uncomfortable emotion.
And just to create, just to create. Like, it doesn't even have to be good.
Yeah.
It's just you're finding a new way to release your emotions, release your pain, and that's how these other artists do approach it. I mean, even if they are good.
Or you can do like physical activities.
Yes, Stella, I remember you did freaking CrossFit for a long time, but like working out, right?
Oh my God, I remember when you
Yeah. Right now I'm injured, but I think that's one of the things I haven't been able to grieve my way. I just don't feel comfortable in a community grieving. I don't feel comfortable doing any of that yet. For me, it's more I grieve alone and I grieve in a way that I exercise or put my all into something, just knowing I can make them proud.
Was originally your idea.
Right, this was your idea.
Well, I just threatened you guys that I was going to slash your tires if you didn't do it.
Shush.
See, guys, I threaten everyone apparently.
But this is also meant to be kind of healing. And I think that was kind of the realization I had too when I spoke to my couples therapist, actually, talking about like what we would discuss and stuff like that, but how this is essentially like a healing journey too. Like, we're all admitting shit that like probably doesn't make us look great either all the time.
Don't look at me.
I'm not looking at you, Stella.
I see you.
We're looking at the air. But it's just the fact that we want to be liberated of all of this too. Like, this is the way we kind of liberate ourselves, even if it means just talking amongst us, if no one's even fucking listening. But if you are listening, which we appreciate very much, like, we're just hoping that you can relate to something that we're talking about, because sometimes, like, talking it out, like, even if you're not even talking to a person, you're talking to the air. It's just a way to get it out of your body. And sometimes that really just makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, and join us. Like, if you want to share your grief story too,
Absolutely.
We have social media. We have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
I've been all over it lately.
No, thank you. I
have virtual hugs waiting for everybody.
Yeah.
And polls.
Oh my God, I love the polls. Have you seen that? I was the one that was.
Yeah, don't worry. I saw you on there.
Jenny,
the polls were good. I think the polls came out pretty well. I mean, we don't have a lot of people participating right now, but it's okay. We're getting there.
Wait, was there more than me? I hope so.
Yes, I was also
okay.
one.
So it was us too.
Well, there was one of them where it was definitely just you.
The heck?
We'll get there. Don't worry.
It's okay. We're all spilling. We're all spilling tea. We're sharing. This is our comunidad. Remember, we're
all together. We're all sisters in the end. Like I said,
spilling the
we're family.
tea.
We're
Yeah.
all family, and we've all faced all this stuff together.
What I also think is important too, besides like I know grief is so heavy and there's sadness and also can be anger and rage, and those are all valid and important. But I also think that we forget, it's like you get into the cycle where you think like I don't deserve to be happy, or I cannot be happy, or there can't be joy in my life because I lost this person or this bad thing happened. And I know I deal with that too with like the chronic illness shit. Like I'm like, I shouldn't have fun. I shouldn't be joyful. Like then I'm faking it and it's not real, or that's me being in denial. But I think that we have to be able to make space for both joy and grief, and know that those feelings are allowed to coexist. You're allowed to find joy in your life, Stella, even though it hurts sometimes. But
And you
like,
have found joy.
yes, absolutely.
You definitely
And like you
have.
said, your dad wants you to be happy and move
Yeah.
forward and enjoy life.
And I think that's how I'm going to deal with grieving, is by doing the best I can to make him proud. All my family. My cousin didn't get a chance to live. Like, she was 13 when she passed. We're all going to live for her. My
Yeah.
dad didn't get a chance to, like, take care of me. Like, he was always worried about me. I am going to be successful. Actually, like, pay my rent, have food for him. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to live for him and do the things he couldn't.
And take care of your heart,
Yeah, take care of my heart.
whatever that
honestly.
looks like.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But yeah, and now I'm not gonna forget his voice. That was my biggest fear, is forgetting his voice, because my sister gave me a Build-A-Bear for my birthday with his voice on there.
Can you share it on the mic, Stella?
So cool.
Yeah, so that was the number one thing I cried about to like my boyfriend, and those, like, I don't really cry or break down, just very few. Was I don't want to forget his voice.
Saying happy birthday to you.
Oh. That's so sweet.
That's my dad saying happy birthday. It was to my other sister, but she saved it and gave it to me and my other sister. So, Dad, I love you. And let's make this podcast kick ass and include everyone and be huge for them. Let's do it for them.
Right?
Yes.
That's a big thing in our community.
The
You don't
biggest
talk
thing.
about it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we just, even if it's just amongst ourselves or we're text messaging or us doing it on the podcast, I think that's a huge, huge win.
And on the earlier topic too, like joy is an act of resistance as well.
Yeah.
So you could find that joy in the troubling times of today.
Do you guys have any resources that you would share? If not, I think we can share them in like a blog post and on social.
Or if anybody in the audience wants to offer resources too, for anybody that's looking for counseling, therapy, grief services, you name it, any kind of like community that is organizing the protests that are going on currently, or just organizing to kind of build funds for immigrant policies that are affecting a lot of families. We want to hear them all for sure. But we'll definitely provide a few that we know of as well.
Yeah, in the blog post, and then in the show notes, I'll add them to the show
Okay,
notes when I
cool.
upload everything as well.
Well, all the hugs to you guys, because this was a difficult one.
Very,
We did push this off. We didn't want to talk about it, but because of what's going on in the world too, we'd also thought that this was a fitting topic. So they're not all going to be like this.
Please no.
They're not all going to be like this, but yeah, we all cried. We're lloronas here. And just like that, another cafecito or maybe a whole carafe has been spilled on Listen Mija. We're so glad you joined us for the laughs, the tears, the stories, and the real talk. No matter where life takes you in between, know that you always have a seat at our table. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. It helps more mijas, mijos, and everyone in between find us. Until next time, cuídense, stay connected, stay hydrated, protect yourselves, protect each other, and we can't wait to chat again soon. Nos vemos.
Abrazos.
Love you guys.